Welcome to this rapid fire explainer. Today, we're taking a completely unique approach to personal growth. We are going to merge the hard neuroscience of habit building with the highly structured methodologies of professional script writing. Why? Well, to give you an actionable, zero fluff blueprint for actually changing your life. The premise here is simple, but yeah, it's bold. Give me your 6 minutes and I will change your life. We aren't just going to sit here and talk about vague motivation. We're diving into the actual biological mechanics of why we fail to take action and exactly how you can script a reality where your success basically becomes automatic. Okay, let's dive right in by confronting the neuroscience of inaction. Have you ever noticed that meticulously planning a new workout routine or outlining a massive new project gives you this weird, deep sense of satisfaction, even if you haven't literally done anything yet? Well, there is a hard biological reason for that. When you just imagine your goals, you're actually lighting up your prefrontal cortex, your premotor cortex, and your brain's reward system. Your brain literally experiences overlapping neural circuits with the actual execution of the task itself. So simply thinking about doing the thing gives your brain a sweet taste of success without requiring a single ounce of real-world effort. This simulation feels nearly as good as the real thing, but at a fraction of the mental cost. And look, this is exactly why passive consumption is incredibly dangerous. Relying on the endless marketing funnels of self-development tools that just feed you generic, feel-good clips, it doesn't work. It just triggers that simulation loop in your brain. You watch a productivity hack, you feel super productive, and then you do nothing. As the brilliant author Octavia E. Butler pointed out, you don't start out producing gold. You start out messy, writing crap, and you gradually get better through pure persistence. You absolutely need a structured plan, not just another burst of simulated dopamine. Which leads us directly to what researchers like Peter Gollwitzer identify as the fear of the gap. Right now, you unconsciously prefer the perfect, flawless imagined version of your life over the messy, probably worse than expected reality of actually starting. Your plan is perfect in your head, but actually beginning means you have to exchange that flawless ideal vision for a real-world execution that is practically guaranteed to be imperfect at first. Starting essentially means giving up the fantasy. So, here is the absolutely crucial point. You do not have a motivation problem. I know, most people misdiagnose their inaction as a lack of motivation, but what you actually have is an activation energy problem. Think of activation energy as the really heavy upfront cost required just to initiate a behavior. The very first workout is always infinitely harder to initiate than your 100th. The first sentence of a script is vastly harder to write than the rest of the entire page. Because once you start, the brain naturally wants to continue. The barrier is always the start, not the sustained effort. Section 1. Micro habits for action, lowering the activation energy. To completely shatter that activation energy requirement, we have to make starting ridiculously, almost laughably easy. I mean, just look at how low we can drop the barrier to entry here. Take the 1-minute goal. Instead of aiming to write an entire chapter, your goal is to write exactly one sentence. Instead of psyching yourself up to run a 5K, your only goal is to literally put on your running shoes. You bypass your brain's natural resistance by setting the bar impossibly low. Then there's the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, like shooting off an email or making your bed, just do it immediately to slay that monster of stress before it piles up. Add in just 30 seconds of gratitude to actively rewire your neural pathways to scan for positives, and maybe 5 minutes of micro-learning where you're just standing in line, turning dead time into actual skill points. By doing these, you aren't just getting minor things done. You are fundamentally tricking your brain into building an identity of discipline through tiny, unbreakable promises. Now, to really lock these micro-habits in, you need a highly specific trigger. Instead of vaguely saying, I want to do something with my life, which, by the way, gives your prefrontal cortex zero actionable instructions, you must utilize implementation intentions. This is a complete psychological restructuring of your goals. The magic formula is, when X happens, I will do Y. For example, when school finishes, I will stand in the library until my homework is done. Or, when my alarm goes off, I will immediately put on my gym clothes. Research actually shows that simply structuring your goals this exact way can increase your follow-through by 200 to 300%. That's massive. Section 2. Rewiring for deep work, scaling up your habits. All right, once you've overcome that initial friction and you've got some real momentum going, you are finally ready to scale up and rewire your brain for high-impact output. By scaling up to these intensive habits, which are strategies championed by high-performance communities like Primal CEO, you actively rewire your dopamine receptors and structure your day for massive success. You eat the frog by knocking out your absolute hardest task first thing in the morning, which instantly kills procrastination. You engage in 90-minute blocks of deep work to drastically skyrocket your productivity. You embrace essentialism by ruthlessly stripping away any activities that don't align with your one main goal. You even practiced short dopamine detoxes, literally just putting the phone away for 5 minutes to sit with your thoughts and let your brain breathe. Section 3. Scripting your new life. Becoming the director. So how do we ensure these deep work habits actually stick long-term? We are going to apply the exact methodologies used in professional script writing to the narrative of your own life. If you look at guides for professional script writing, like the Collab Tree Guide on educational videos, rule number 1 is you must chunk the content. When creating a video, if you try to teach everything all at once, the audience gets completely overwhelmed. Well, your life is exactly the same. You have to take this massive, intimidating aspiration of changing your life and chunk it down into highly specific, manageable, and actionable daily objectives. Please don't try to go from 0 to 5 hours of studying a day. Start with the minimum viable action. And this perfectly illustrates how you structure a winning day. I want you to think of your morning routine exactly like the introduction to a cinematic video script. According to creators like Ken Tajandra, you script your video's intro word for word to establish authority and focus your mind. In real life, your morning routine should be that rigid word for word script that sets your baseline with absolute precision. But for the rest of the day, use short, simple dot points so you can remain flexible and authentic as things inevitably change. And crucially, constantly review your day to mix, merge, and ruthlessly cut out the fluff, any actions or distractions that simply aren't adding value to your main goal. You know what the most efficient scriptwriters rely on? Checklists. They literally do not trust their memory. They use checklists as mandatory reminders of their must-dos during scripting, filming, and editing. You must apply this exact same checklist mentality to hold yourself accountable. Have a daily checklist for your micro habits. Did you hit your 1-minute goal? Did you complete your deep work block? Treat your daily execution like a strict Hollywood production schedule that cannot be ignored. Because if you don't step up and take control, your life just becomes a random series of events. As the Media.io lifestyle video guidelines remind creators, a good story needs actual structure and deeply personal details, not just some random set of attractive generic clips. Your life requires this exact same intentional direction. Don't just copy someone else's generic morning routine that you saw on the internet. Require an editable storyline for yourself. Make your settings and your character choices deeply personal and intentional, so your life doesn't just become another generic marketing funnel of consumed content with zero real-world action. And honestly, what happens if we just keep planning and keep consuming, but we never actually call action? Well, in Edward Dox's novel titled Self-Help, the narrative follows characters who arrive in St. Petersburg way too late to truly understand their mother's life before she passes. It serves as this incredibly powerful, haunting literary reminder that waiting too long to uncover the truth, or waiting too long to take control and actually script your own reality, only ever leads to tragedy. The longer you wait around for that perfect moment to start, the more of your own story you're entirely missing out on. So here is the ultimate takeaway from today's explainer. Stop preparing. Just accept the fact that stepping outside your comfortable safe zone means failure is completely guaranteed at some point, but it is also the only place where massive upside exists. I want you to ask yourself, what is the one minimum viable action, the exact 6-minute action you are going to take literally right now, today, to rewrite your script? Because if you don't take your 6 minutes to change your life today, whose script are you going to end up living tomorrow?